Morning, everybody. This is, I'm calling to order the Connecticut State Advisory Council for Special Education Executive Committee meeting on Wednesday, October 2nd, 2024 at 9:01 a.m. I'm Susan Yankee. I'm the chair and I'm a parent member. So is there anybody for public comment, or has anyone emailed in any public comment? And I don't believe so. Okay, so we're going to move on to consent agenda. So we have two sets of minutes to approve. We have the May 1st and the August 28th. And I'm going to first do the May 1st. I looked it over. I didn't see any changes. Does anyone have any changes to that? Good morning, Brian. Hi, Lori.
Good morning.
Yeah, no, just a minor.
Okay.
Minor thing. My name's misspelled. That's all. In May 1.
Okay. Nachi name misspelled. We can't have that happen. Okay, I'm writing that note down right now. I'll give that to Jolie. Okay, great. Would someone like to make a motion for approval of the minutes as corrected?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as corrected.
Great. Any seconds?
I'll second that. Thank you.
Thank you, Nachi. Abstentions for anyone who wasn't at the meeting? We were all there, correct? Okay. All in favor? Great. So the May 1st, 2024 meeting minutes of the executive committee are approved. Next, we're going to move on to the August 28th. She has it actually on the agenda. It says 2023. I think we meant 2024 meeting minutes. And I actually have a correction. Let's see. It just says under committee member matters. It just says that I asked that the full council meeting be changed, and I just asked for the LOB to change the date on the LOB breakfast. Sorry, legislators breakfast. I'm losing my mind. Legislators breakfast to be changed. I'm just changing that. Anyone else have any corrections?
No.
No, thank you, Susan.
That's wonderful. Okay, not your names. Okay, good. Would someone like to make a motion to approve the minutes with corrections, please?
This time I'll make the minutes.
Good, Nachi. I know we don't. Catherine, you're the only other choice.
Yeah.
I second.
Thank you.
We're just
Okay.
gonna alternate.
Abstentions from anyone who wasn't at the meeting? No. Okay. All in favor? Great. All right. The August 28th, 2024 Executive Committee meeting minutes have now been approved. And I thank Jolie for getting all that together for us. Okay. Committee matters. You saw how many papers I had on my kitchen table right now. Committee matters. So we need to plan the October 16th, 2024 full council meeting agenda planning. So I'd love to start off with that. Jennifer had sent something in because she's unable to be here today. And she asked, I don't know, did everybody who's on, or Sean, did you get the email from Jen? Brian, I know.
I did not.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. It just came to Brian and Sean. Brian, did you guys see, Jen had just some data requests, and I just want to make sure you guys got that so we can include. She was wondering, yeah, she was hoping that we could pull like the last 5-10 years of certain data so we could look at the trend lines to help us set our priorities and recommendations. So she asked for restraint and seclusion, chronic, and Sean and you guys have this, chronic absenteeism for students with disabilities, LRE data, and she wanted it by disability category and however else you can disaggregate it. That's a super big word, disaggregate that data. Graduation dates for students with disabilities, dropout rates for students with disabilities and disaggregated by disability category, and suspension and expulsion. And I remember from our last, when I was reading over our last notes, that and I wish he was here. Jeff had asked about, was it autism or ADHD as a primary? He had a question about it being a.
OHI ADHD.
Yes.
Yeah, and multiple disability data he had asked about. I think, did we get restraint seclusion? We got all of that. And I know that at our other meeting, our other main SAC meeting, I believe it was Jennifer or Jane asked about restraint and, about outplacement. And if there was any data on dividing it between the request was made by the PPT team or was the request made by the parents? In like with a lawyer, that kind of thing. I remember, I don't know if anyone else remembers that data request.
Yeah,
Brian
it was.
Sorry, go ahead, Nachi, and then we'll do Brian.
I think that data was the hardest one out of all the set, because of the fact that it happens at the PPT, and that PPT decision level may not be there, but that was the request. And that was the response.
I seem to recall that too.
All right. Oh, Mr. Brian.
Hi, folks. Yeah,
Hi.
thank you. Just to reiterate what Nachi said, so we don't have that data because we would have to review each student's PPT meeting notice. So we don't have a way to determine whether or not the request for an out-of-district placement came from a parent or from the district within the context of a PPT. So that's not something we can produce. The other things Jen's asking for are all publicly available data on EdSite. So it's just a matter of how you would like us to prioritize or organize that. It's quite a bit of data to review for a meeting. So I don't want to overwhelm folks with, that information, but we could absolutely provide direct links to data. Our annual reports are posted online, and they contain all the way back from 2017, if I'm not mistaken, Sean, but we could double check that.
If you could provide direct links to that data, then if we need to refer to it during the meeting, then we just have, you're right, you are right, that is a lot of information. And
so the other thing, Susan, I just wanted to mention is during what I recall from the meeting, there was a request to break out LRE by grade across disabilities. So we don't have that data. It will take quite some time for us to disaggregate it that way. So that's just something. We have LRE data by disability category and across the number of years. We have it broken down for those 3 different categories of 80% and above, separate settings, or 40 to 80, but we don't have it broken down by grade, by disability category, which I think Jane originally brought up to see, our students at the younger grade levels more likely to be 80% and above versus students, for example, in middle school or higher. And so it's almost a trajectory from a student when they're first identified through the time that they graduate, if they remain in special education, how their LRE may change. So those aren't data that we run typically like that. So we'll just have to maybe talk through that a little bit and see. Right now, our performance office team is in the midst of running our annual reports for districts, APRs, the performance reports. So I can't ask them to do that right now for something to run a new thing. So I just wanted to be transparent about that, is that we can absolutely share the information and data that we have for you all. And then it might take a little bit longer for us to pull out some of those unique requests, if that makes sense.
No, that makes total sense. And if at our meeting, if you could just kind of, how you just beautifully worded that, if you could share that with the group.
Yeah, and in the meantime, with Jen's, the way we can copy the executive committee and put links to the data based on Jen's requests and just put, the access, and then figure out from your perspective what you'd like to focus on for the priority activity. We do have the room at Crack for October, so we're excited about that. We'll be able to roll up our sleeves and have a nice working meeting at that time. So Sean and I are prepared to, review whatever data you would like us to. We just want to make sure it's aligned with your expectations.
Okay. All right, Catherine Nachi, anything?
That sounds good to me.
Thank you, Brian. I think not so much for a meeting. I think the data would be good as we go forward as well, but totally understand timeframes as well as having a smaller data set. If whatever makes it work for us to get the idea of our priorities as well as to keep our work ongoing through these very critical issues. Thank you.
Yep. And as AI develops, I know it's such a great tool for things like that, Brian, where you can just pull out different things.
Yeah.
That'll probably make
Susan,
your life easier in the future. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I apologize because I came on a little bit after the start of the meeting, but did you all have a chance to meet Holly and Christine?
We chatted, but no, but I would love to meet them even more. We've talked at the last meeting too.
Oh, great. Yeah, so I just wanted to kind of introduce. So as you're all aware, Jolie's been helping to onboard our partners and collaborators from CERC to provide support to the State Advisory Council this year. And so although Jolie will still be involved, Holly and Christine will be taking on a larger role of supporting the administrative functions of the council, including the annual report, our subcommittee meetings, and so forth. So we just wanted to take a minute for them to introduce themselves. We've been meeting with CERC behind the scenes, and Jolie's been reviewing kind of the procedures and the protocols for supporting the SAC. But that's why they're on today, and will be friendly faces from here on out for the remainder of the year for you all and the support to you. So Christine and Holly, I don't know, if you just wanted to take a minute to introduce yourself and yeah. So Christine, if you want to
Thank you, Brian. No, that sounds great. Great introduction. And it was great to meet some of you last time. Council meeting. I'm Christine Killowind. I am a consultant at CERC. Been there close to 8 years now. And we do so many different hats we wear at the State Education Resource Center. A lot of work we do with districts and schools. One of the biggest hats I wear is chronic absenteeism. I work a lot with Kari Sullivan Custer and Jay Brown along with that initiative. So Talk Tuesdays we have, and some other great work we're doing. But this is something near and dear to me because Nicole Vitale and myself helped support, was it 2 years ago, Brian? 2 summers ago?
Yeah,
maybe.
the retreat down in Old Saybrook, was it, I think?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was just
That's right.
absolutely.
You had a chance to meet most of the folks then. That's right.
Yeah, so it was, I loved the work that you guys were gonna looks like go forward with doing with some of the recommendations that were made. So this is truly wonderful. But I mentioned a little bit earlier, there was a question, but I'm also a Board of Education member in my town. So I live in Westbrook. And Susan, your niece is Dr. Martineau. Am I correct on that? Yeah. So she says such amazing things, good things. But even understanding like how even in districts, the support and how we all work together, I think it's really important that we do this work. So I'm really happy to be a part of this. I think it's a great initiative and a council that I'm looking forward to everything. So thank you guys.
Great.
Thanks, Christine.
Hey everyone, I'm Holly Ryan, a CERC project specialist, and I've been working with Christine for 2 years actually that I've been with CERC. I started and she was one of my first consultants working on Talk Tuesday, so we've been working pretty closely for the past couple of years. So I'm excited to help in any way that I can.
That's great. So at some point, Brian, will you tell us kind of who we reach out to for what? Like minutes and agendas and things like that?
Yeah, so it will be Holly and Christine moving forward. I know Jolie, we could talk about and with maybe offline with the executive committee on a timeline or time frame, but right now, all three folks are, getting brought up to speed. But Jolie will be handing off the torch, so to speak, to Holly and Christine for meeting scheduling, meeting minutes, posting, and working with Matt Falconer and our team at CSDE to do all of the logistics around the meetings, including our full council meetings.
Okay, that's great.
So
Today
in the meantime, you can continue to, include Jolie, and then, we'll have probably once we'll send a notification out to everybody. We thought at the next full council meeting, we can do a quick intro for Holly and Christine too, so that folks know what their role will be moving forward. So it's not like goodbye to Jolie. It's more of just taking a step back from some of the direct support and being more on the support and consultative side for Holly and Christine.
Okay, thank you. And so, because earlier today, the code for the call-in for public comment didn't work, and it didn't work at our SAC meeting, and I was told to go to Jolie. So technical things like that are CSDE, I go to Jolie.
Yes.
For now, yes, but that would be something for Holly and Christine in the future as we transition out.
All right. Okay. All right. So I will miss when Jolie and I are still working, sending emails when we're both in our pajamas late at night. So
I'm here. I'll be here for you late at night. I don't know if the other, I don't know if our partners will be here at night, so I will still be in my pajamas here for you, Susan.
Good. All right.
We will have our moments to connect, and I'm still going to be kind of driving for a couple more meetings, but we want to bring them into the emails and start transitioning some of the work, some of the duties that I have.
Okay, that sounds awesome. So Jolie, if I forget to include Christine and Holly in something, will you just like zap them on the email chain?
Absolutely. That's what I've been doing. Whatever emails I think are, appropriate for them right now, I include them in there, or I'll forward them an email and let them know how we're handling things. So that's a great plan for me.
Okay, that sounds awesome. Brian, any other words of wisdom? Because we'll move to planning our agenda. Oh, all right.
Nope,
well,
my wisdom's all tapped out for today.
Never.
I figure you were going to be busy, because how many parent weekends do you have coming up for college?
Already done. Yeah, already done. Yeah, with the older boys.
Oh.
Yeah, they happen early in September. So
wow,
yeah,
that is
good.
early.
It's good to see. The boys are doing well.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. That's good. Okay, so agenda planning. So we know we definitely are doing mostly priorities and recommendations, right? Catherine, I'm assuming we need a little bit of chunk of time for membership.
Yeah, so I'll tell you that there is a membership meeting scheduled on October 15th. It just was not possible to schedule a membership meeting earlier in October due to everyone's schedules. So on the 15th, we have kind of a meaty agenda, and some of the decisions we may end up making will probably require meeting with the executive committee first. So I don't know how meaty my update is going to be on the 16th, Susan, but there will definitely be a membership update. Okay.
Oh, so you won't have people to move forward with the parents? We will, right? The parent one, will we have?
Well, we are reviewing the membership surveys on the 15th, and we have quite a few. And I thought that we needed to present a candidate to the executive committee before we could present the candidate to the full council.
Correct. All right.
Yeah.
And it was just too soon. It was Susan. It was too soon to. So our full. I think am I glitching, or is that Jeff Spar that? I'm trying to let Jeff Spar. Got you. So Susan, we would have to present to the executive, and the full council meeting was the 16th. So to pull you guys together the afternoon of the 15th was going to be a little tricky, being that I just scheduled the executive meeting about a week ago.
Okay. All right. That sounds great. That sounds great. Are we getting any student ones in?
No, we are not. We have a lot of adults interested. And unfortunately, we have not received any student surveys.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, the school year just started, so.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Well,
Okay.
we'll give another push at the October 16th meeting.
Okay. All right. So the first thing on the agenda would be my executive update. Brian, do you think I should go over just quickly the one section we discussed about eligibility at the special ed task force?
Yeah, I think that makes sense, Susan. I don't know how much detail we'd go through
Yeah.
because we got through a portion of that, but I would think that it would be important to share with the council that the special ed task force met in October, has another meeting scheduled in October and November to finalize the recommendations based on the findings in those 3 areas. So I don't know if we should share specifics yet because it seems like they're being reworded and tweaked and
You're
still kind of in the midst of discussion.
Okay. All right. And should we?
It's up to you though. I mean,
Right. And I haven't gone through I haven't gone through the feedback from those sessions that is that something that I should just keep with the task force? And I'm talking about because we always, we're supposed to bring forward from,
the RESC Alliance summarized the feedback from our session. So I think we mentioned the feedback sessions last time. So now we could say that the Special Education Task Force is reviewing the feedback from those sessions, and that we have a virtual session scheduled, I think, for October 8th. That'll be before the meeting. I don't think we should share those out directly with the council until the task force kind of figures out what to do with that information.
Okay, so then that will be super quick for me.
Yeah, I think so.
Great. We'll need to, as a executive committee, as maybe not this meeting, next meeting, we should really talk about trying to do that legislative breakfast in January, as Representative Comey suggested. Because I think we'll have our report done and our ducks in a row by then, and that'll give enough time to CSDE to make up the brief 1-pagers of our priorities and recommendations. What do you guys think about that?
I think that sounds good.
Yeah, I might, so would I go to Jolie to reserve the room for the legislative breakfast? That's another logistic question. Would that be you, Jolie?
Yes. Because now I work with Representative Comey, so it's easier.
Okay, so that's good to know. Okay.
For now,
Okay.
yes. Yep. Since we have to start working on that soon. Yeah.
Yep.
Time flies.
Okay.
January.
Right.
October.
It's going to be.
Mhm.
Okay, great. So a membership, Jeff, legislative, how much time do you think you need?
Well, there's not really having been anything started just for the October 16 meeting.
Yeah, we just need to schedule them out, right? But that
I
would
mean,
be,
I'll just give like a brief overview about what we do because, it's before the election. There's not any legislation that's pending. So I don't know, like 10 minutes. I'll just let the people know what we do. Just kind of bring it through the process.
Great. And would you do another appeal to anybody who wants to participate?
Sure, I could do that. I could throw the fishing line out there and see if anybody bites.
Fishing line. Okay, great. All right. And then I will have Friday, there's the ad hoc school safety committee, and we'll have an update. So I'll need that. So that's membership, legislative, ad hoc school safety. Do you think we'll have time for roundtable, or should we just go in? Because roundtable seems to be taking like 5 minutes lately. Do you think we should just throw it in? Yeah, I see Catherine.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea.
Okay, so we're going to do roundtable. Does CSDE have something that they need to report? Or are you just going to talk about the data that was requested, or that little comment that I said you were so brilliant, Brian?
Yeah, we can definitely do a bureau update if you'd like.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
keep that on. I know we want to keep a majority of the time for the priorities. So if we had talked about diving back in using that same format, I think, that we used over the summer to identify those areas and make sure folks are all in consensus about the priority areas. We had a great discussion during the last session, I think, to build from, but however you would all like that structured, I think my update can help lead into that. If that means some reporting on data, we're happy to do that. If that means some, refresher on where we left off, we're happy to do that as well.
I was hoping the executive committee could kind of look at the priorities, that slide that you have of what our priorities are, because I'm going to have to go back in meetings. I thought we had already adjusted the priorities, because that seems to be the student voice. I thought we had taken that out and said it's in everything. Right? Am I correct that we had adjusted our priorities for this year already?
I think we did.
Yeah, I thought we did too.
So I'm just going to have to go back and start looking. Brian, do you remember that? Because the slide you have, I think, is an old slide, or
it's a new slide. It was created for the last meeting. The two boxes on the lower level were student voice and see, I can pull it up now. They're not priorities in and of themselves, but we had that during the July retreat. We didn't get through that entire exercise. We only made it through the first three. And then we had kind of a to be continued.
Nachi, what do you want to say?
No, I'm trying to go along and remember the exact point where we left off, but I do remember leaving off before, forget what the fourth one was, but yeah, I do remember that. And as far as the modifications, I think it was on the other three. It lives in our document, and please excuse me for not reviewing that before, but we did have a document with that change, I thought.
Yeah, I'll do some searches and listen to some recordings and see if I can find that. Okay, I had down in my notes for this that we would need further discussion on LRE, restraint and seclusion, and the safety group during priority and recommendations, like to make sure we give time for all those things. I'm looking at all my notes that I did. Oh, Brian. Oh, that was, I don't know what that was, but Brian, or I don't know who has this. At our last meeting, we had discussed our executive meeting, I think, about if there was an SDE specific policy for the cell phones in classrooms, because I saw the CSDE one and it wasn't very specific. There wasn't really any guidance. And if that's something that we need to, is anyone working on that, or do we not need to discuss that in priorities and recommendations?
The State Board of Education has submitted a guidance document around cell phone use in schools.
Right, I've read it.
Yeah, so that's the guidance that we have in place. The State Board is also continuing to review information, gather information and feedback from school systems. In the guidance document, it says that schools should consider the individualized needs of students, whether they're on a 504 plan, some type of a health plan, or an IEP, based on the student's need for that technology. So we're not working on a document necessarily. We're continuing to, hold listening tours and gather feedback from school districts as they're implementing these policies.
Would you discuss that? Would you put that in your bureau update for the group?
I can, sure.
I don't know if you record, or I guess we're recording when you speak brilliantly. I'm one of those people, if I say a sentence and someone says, repeat that, I'm like, I cannot repeat that. So you always make really wonderful, informative
You
statements.
do a wonderful job, Susan.
But I can never remember what I just said. So you always make really great statements. Catherine, Nachi, Jeff, any comments on that? Or Sean?
No, we've I have a staff meeting coming up. So for example, I can poll the staff and see how things are going. And if I have anything to share at the SAC, I can certainly do that.
Yeah, we haven't heard any issues from parents or families around the cell phone policies at the local level, but obviously it's a fairly new thing. So we want to make sure that we're just aware. I know the leadership team has very structured feedback sessions set up, and the State Board of Education is looking to, this is a beginning more in a process more than anything that's culminating in a specific requirement. So
that would be great if you just threw that into your CSTE update. So
Yeah.
we kind of know where you guys are.
Yeah.
Anyone else on any other thoughts on the agenda?
Just going back, Susan, because I'm still not clear on what you're all looking for. You mentioned a few different things, restraint and seclusion. You mentioned the safety and health committee. So I just want to make sure we're using the time. It's a longer meeting, correct?
Yeah.
Correct. So are we, and we started later this year, we're starting at 10, is that right?
10 to
Yes.
2, yeah.
10 to 2. So we'll probably need a break for folks for lunch since it's overlapping. I mean, that's kind of like some type of break in between there to get folks nourished, and then get their minds thinking. And then, do you anticipate an hour or an hour and a half on the business end of the agenda with a break and then the last 2 hours for group, or did you want to put a heavier percentage time on the work around the priorities? These are if it's helpful, I can share the documents we reviewed during the last, just to refresh everybody kind of where we are. Is that coming through okay?
I think if we can do all our executive update roundtable, our membership, our committees, and the your bureau update before the break, so that when we come back, then we're just focusing on the priorities and recommendations, and we don't have a mind break. And Jolie, are you the person that puts the note to bring something to eat?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm always responsible for food. We know I'm responsible for food.
Okay, great. Oh my gosh.
Are you all able to see this?
Yeah, thank you for making it bigger.
Oh, thank you for making, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, so
thanks for the enlargement.
These are the themes that came about during the July feedback sessions. So there was a theme around partnerships in the PPT process. We talked about all of these different things that could turn into recommendations for you all. IEP facilitation, PPT agendas, decorum in meetings. Staffing continues to be an issue, obviously, that we're addressing in our state. So the question is that, I think these areas seem to be clear that they were priority areas, but if you think that's been finalized and we can move on from there, we can just roll up our sleeves and build that out a little bit more. LRE and individualization and individualized programming was another area that it seemed that there was interest in continuing that as a priority. And then the concept of student voice in the sense of belonging, it was really the State Advisory Council that planted that seed back in early July, as you know, that was our back to school theme for our individuals and participants, which was really well received. And I think those are the areas that are not necessarily priorities, but sort of embedded across that you were speaking to. And
Yes.
so, but there was some other topics that we didn't get to, like, for example, health and mental health and behavioral needs of students, which underneath that, there was the discussions around restraint and seclusion, the emergency use of. So those are, and then I can share this, and just let me know if the PowerPoint is coming into your view now. Just want to make sure, because I'm
Yes.
working on a
So,
couple.
you know, Brian, at the Special Ed Task Force, I mean, de-escalation training was really focused on. And I know we've just discussed that multiple times. I know Tom talks about that de-escalation training.
Yeah.
I didn't see that on the list, but I could be wrong.
It
We've
could
talked about
be-
that.
I think Brian, thank you so much for bringing us up to this point to refresh us. But I think if we had always said for the last few years that mental health, student well-being was going to continue through. And Susan, to your question about the use of crisis intervention, that sort of idea of de-escalation, to be able to verbally talk to kids about what's going on would fall under that rubric of emotional health. Thank you for.
Yeah, and Nachi, the task force is really leaning towards de-escalation training for all staff.
Right. So right now
And,
it's a cohort, right? So the people that intervene, that's each district's required to have that, and so to make it something for all educators, no matter who's in the building, to understand makes sense. It's just the time and the cost, but I think it does make sense because everybody's on that, can be part of that team when they're seeing a child who's dysregulated, to help support that child in a capacity of understanding of what's maybe going on with the child.
right. Thank you, Nachi.
Are you setting that personnel?
Beg your pardon?
Nothing.
Oh, that was your end. I thought it was Catherine. I don't know why.
No.
Someone learned to throw their voice.
I don't know. I wasn't
somebody
looking.
Somebody was looking in my office and called and didn't know I was on the line, so.
Ah,
I thought it's Catherine said something.
All right, so it seems like we can do something, Susan, like we did previously, where we really dig into these topics around LRE, special education, recruitment, retention, and staffing needs, the planning and placement team process, and students' social, emotional, mental health. And I think those capture the areas. Is there anything else that
so
we're missing?
the social emotional, I would put under school safety in emergencies. I mean, I watched the news the other day, and Amory Bernhardt said, after you've had a school threat, how do those students go back to just say, okay, now go sit at your desk, we're going to study now? How do the teachers just go back? I mean, we really need to.
I agree that it's a facet. To me, it's not under school safety. It's school safety is a part of this whole umbrella of what is needed for student well-being, student mental health.
Okay.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that they're all related to one another.
Okay, that's awesome. So Brian, you're coming to our October 23rd meeting of the Executive Committee Work Group, right?
Yes.
You're so good at typing. Nachi might need a break, right, Nachi? Nachi always is our wordsmith.
Yeah, you're really great.
Yeah, you're really super duper great.
You guys are being very kind today. Thank you so much.
They're setting you up for a task, I think, now.
Yeah, I think it's coming. Feel it.
We all know what we're good at and what we're not
So
good
Susan, and team, are you thinking, so the business section of the meeting, like you said, we should try to wrap up by 11:30 at the latest?
Yeah.
And then have a half-hour break for lunch and then go 12 to 2 with the priorities. Does that sound good?
Yeah, and we'll do, and are we, I guess we'll do breakout groups depending on how many people are there. I personally like working together, but I know that's difficult sometimes when you have people online.
Yeah.
Anyone else's thoughts?
I think
only
the best way
my
that it's
only-
happened in the past is that we've had someone manage the people online.
Mhm.
So we've had the breakout groups in the room, and then we've had someone manage people online.
Yeah.
Okay.
My thought is a reminder is that we're starting at 10. And so if you're breaking at 11:30, that's only an hour and a half in. That may be enough time. I'm just reminding us.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I think it's a good plan to get through that hour and a half. If we make our, I don't see us being able to get the priorities done in less than 2 hours.
Right.
Yeah.
And what I always find is that we do our breakout groups, but we never really, and we get to share back, but we really never get to have a discussion. If there's someone in a different breakout group that has a comment about, you know what I mean? I feel like we never can really get into, we never have time. We're always like, oh, we're done. We got to go. Is there any way to schedule, like a half-hour overview of basically of what we've discussed, or?
To me, it's the time element. So possibly can we condense the business to that first hour?
Yeah.
Jump into priorities so we get get ourselves coordinated, get some organization done. The first half hour, take a break, and then finish up and really do invest that much time into it.
So that would be 10 to 11.
So then I don't know. I mean, if the priorities, we know how long they take, I'm okay with the 2 hours as originally thought, but if we want more time, I would see it at the front end rather than, or we could, meeting again is harder for all that. And we need the priorities kind of figured out on the 16th so that we can move forward with the annual report. So, I'm okay with whichever way it goes, but those are just my thoughts about needing more time.
And I like that idea. And I just think that when we meet in person, we're so much more effective and we are online. So I think the more time we can devote to the priorities at our next meeting, the better.
Okay.
What we could do is to take Nachi's suggestion and do our best to get the business done by 11, and then take a really short break just to get situated, and then almost have like a working lunch where folks can, because I feel like 11, after an hour, it might be too soon for a lunch break since we just kind of get started. But it is around lunchtime, so folks may be hungry or snacking. So that's another option, is that we could sort of provide a natural break for folks to get their food after everybody understands the activity and we get situated. We do that from like 11 to 11:30 and then just kind of work through for the next couple of hours. To your point, Susan, we can save the last half hour for discussion and share out and final decisions. So the 2 hour time frame would be 11:30 to 1:30, leaving 1:30 to 2 open for what you suggested.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, and then that way we could probably get a lot of work done on the 23rd at our work group, cleaning things up. That would be really pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Does everyone feel like we have a great agenda?
Yes.
Okay.
A great
that's
agenda.
great agenda. And then I would love to let people know, even if we're not sending out the agenda, just where we're going to be. If that's possible. Is that a you, Jolie? Or is that
Yeah.
Jane and-
I'm so sorry. In my head, I was answering you. I thought I already said that.
I
Isn't it?
heard you,
That's-
I heard you, I heard
That's
you.
why I chuckle. I'm kind of, I'm working on minutes, so I have my screen, like my view is only you. So in my head, I answered you. Of course, it's you, Susan. I'll switch over to Jeff in a moment.
Get Jeff started, I was gonna say.
Yes, I can send I have changed our calendar invite just to let everyone know that I have changed that calendar invite, and I will send out a reminder to before our agenda goes out this afternoon. I'll let the council know that to expect our reminder email soon, meeting reminder email with materials, and I will let them know that we are meeting at CREC.
Okay, great. And do we have, and you're working on the February in person and the April at some point, the
Yep.
space? I'd love to get one, just anyway. Jeff, is Middletown closer to you to drive to or not? I'm trying to keep a central like somewhere that we could do a central location. Or is it the same?
Well, I mean, Middletown's a little bit closer than Hartford, but not demonstrably so. I don't know. I mean, I can
New
go on
Haven.
to. Well, New Haven's a lot closer, yeah.
I don't know if that's ever a possibility because I don't know where everybody else is coming from, but
Yeah. I mean, I could, the 10 o'clock is good. It's for me to get up to the Hartford, the travel time is maybe like an hour and 15 depending on traffic. And, you throw an extra 15 to park and get there, so like I'm looking at an hour and a half. So if I leave at 8:30, that's fine. I'll just ahead of time let you know that I will have to make sure that all of my 4 dogs are all tucked away. So
can't we bring dogs to our meetings? No, I'm kidding.
Emotional support.
I can always send my son over because he's at school. Okay,
Oh, there you go. Yeah, Fairfield. So I just wanted to say one thing also to Brian and to Catherine. I did get last week a contact from the governor's office to fill out a form for the reappointment. So that looks like it was moving forward. I just wanted to thank that. So that's good.
Great. That's awesome. Awesome.
Yeah, we have to thank Tom Scanlon, who reached out to Jolie and us, and he was very efficient in getting back to us, and actually said that those appointment letters are pending very shortly, which we could all do a happy dance once we receive those.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
It's been a
Thank you
while.
so much.
It's been a while, but it's definitely a priority for the governor's office, so we do appreciate that.
Yeah, and I think as far as my background check goes, it was probably a 40-year statute of limitations to how I was at Holy Cross when I was a freshman. So that didn't have to come up. No.
Back in the day, Jeff, right?
Thank you for working. Thank you for working so hard on that and getting it done. We really appreciate it. We know you guys have been trying for a long time. So you know what? We also have to plan. Because Jen's not here, she suggested I send out some dates for our executive committee meetings to the group because, and I was trying to keep to our Wednesday morning because I know that's easier for everyone, but she has some that she's busy. And so I thought I'd send out to the group some Wednesday suggestions for our, like our agenda planning and with Jolie too, because she has, Brian's calendar. And Sean, Wednesday mornings, are those usually good for you?
Those are fine.
Those are fine. Yeah, I just have to get from Jen. She had mentioned she had a couple of things that she's presenting at, and I just wanted to get those dates from her. Does that sound okay to everybody if I take care of that, like offline? Great.
Perfect.
And then great. And then we have our annual report due dates, and Jolie said she made a slide for me. Who's doing what and when's it due? No?
It's not. So I have it ready for Brian to update the dates.
Okay.
And we will send that off today, but we were going to be reviewing that. So Brian, usually you pull up the who does what, and I have that
For the annual report?
Correct.
Yeah,
Where it's just broken out in sections and kind of, so I have the draft of that ready in our folder for today's meeting.
Okay, you want me to grab it real quick?
I could do that, or I can share my screen and I can open it and you just tell me what to adjust the dates. It's your
yeah,
call.
because it's probably the same responsibilities because we're the same people, right?
Yeah, so it's basically just gonna be dates that we're adjusting.
And then the one thing I want to get on the calendar is kind of that final review with Sean and Brian. I want to kind of get it on the calendar, December or the beginning of January or something, that final review piece where Sean and Brian went through with me, and it was so helpful for them to clarify and ask questions and make things cleaner. It was just brilliant. And I just want to make sure we have that set. Do you know what I'm talking about, Sean? Super helpful. Okay. Does anyone feel that like how we'll know is by looking at when we decide what dates things are done. Final draft to Joe. Okay, so Jolie, if you want a final draft.
The dates have to be adjusted. These dates are all from last year.
Yeah, so
This
this is just the template, Susan. You all can set the dates here, and we could help advise, but essentially we have to put in all new dates here.
Yep. Right. I probably go ahead and give me December 15th on message from the chair. I should have it done earlier.
When if we want to work, when is what's the goal for having the report finished? The legislative session starts in January this year.
Mm-hmm. And how long do you guys need when we finally get it done and we cut down to the 2-pager?
Well, if we want to do a 2-pager, that's not part of this. This is just the annual report itself. So we could talk about like other 2-pagers and things like that we build off from it. But like we could have some folks working on that concurrently if you'd like. But this is just for the annual report, like the full annual report. I think the legislative session, Jeff, I'm not sure if you know, and I can check with Laura Stefan, but I think it's the second Wednesday in January that it kicks off, which would be January 8th, if I'm not mistaken. So this year, legislatively, the report is required on January 15th.
Right.
So it's just a matter of how far in advance would you like the final version of the report so that we can submit it to the legislature?
That's why I was asking how long to do the 2-pagers, just because I know we need to have our legislative breakfast in January. I would like to get as much done before or maybe like the first week of the new year. I unfortunately have federal jury duty starting December 17th, so I don't know if I will be available or not. I'm hoping I will be, because they keep you for 2 months on call. So I don't know what anyone else.
I'm not able to edit this. I just noticed, and it's I don't see a document here.
Because I have the master and I am sending to you.
Oh, okay.
I think this is one because it has Tammy's name on it. So it's got to be one from a few years ago. We have a more recent one that I could dig up if you want.
It's the same template.
It's
we just because we're going to be
Yeah.
editing it anyway, Susan. So it's just these are basically the sections of the report that we have to start like populating.
Yep. We don't all we need to do is adjust it to this year's, but it's not something where it matters. I just left it in draft mode so we can get this done today and get it to you guys quickly. Brian, I already sent it off to you.
Okay.
The legislative session this year is January 8th.
Is it
January
8th? Okay. Yes, thank you.
And
So
If that's the case, Susan, you'd like the final report done prior to that date. So you said if we have a goal of having the report done the first week in January, that Friday is January 3rd.
what are other people's, other people on the committee? What are their schedules?
I'm going to say the sooner the better, because when I
Yeah.
saw that in the past, the membership portion was due November 23rd. I know this sounds ambitious. I'd actually really like to have membership done by the end of October, latest during the first few days in November, just because I'm going to be, my calendar's already packed for November. I'm going to be at a conference. We have some holidays. I'm going to be on vacation. So I want to make sure I'm getting the membership portion done as quickly as I can.
November
And-
4th, November 4th is, I mean, November 1st is a Friday, so we can put down November 4th, just,
Let
membership?
me look at my calendar.
you can have it
Yeah,
done.
November 4th. Yeah, put November 4th down.
Okay,
because
you can have it
that's-
done anytime before that. This is just a timeline. You guys
Okay.
can get me anything before
Yeah.
that, or, you know.
Okay.
so-
Sounds good.
And Catherine, would you send me an email or something, which is kind of when you're not around, so I don't send those as possible,
I'll-
meeting dates?
I'll do that. Okay.
Okay.
And just a reminder to people, I mean, you're talking about from you have Christmas and New Year's in between. So that may be impacting dates too, just as a reminder. I mean, right before the
Yeah.
8th, which starts, that's going to be, you have holidays. So that's,
So should we try to look at like getting this done by early December? We have no SAC meeting in December. So our last information from the full SAC regarding priorities and recommendations would be November 20th. So I think, what does everybody think about getting this done sometime in December, way before Christmas? And
Yeah.
I mean, having a final meeting with Sean and Brian.
Good idea.
I like that.
Yeah.
So that means Sean and Brian, look at your calendars and when is good for you.
I've got Brian's. You go ahead. I need you guys to give me the Wednesdays. You guys are. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm not sure why I thought it would be a Wednesday. SAC
No,
Wednesday.
Wednesday, December 11th.
Give me one moment.
Make sure I'm not in New York.
The meet. Okay.
Yeah, I'm around.
Do you have a? Let me see. Hold on 1 second.
Because the next week I have jury duty.
No. Doesn't look good for Brian on that day. His calendar's pretty busy.
Okay.
Oh, wait. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I was on the wrong. I'm sorry. Give me a moment. Oh, well, suddenly I lost how to work his calendar.
Sean, what
Okay.
does your calendar look like?
Yeah, no, the 11th is not good.
Okay, so because I need both of those brilliant minds.
Harder to get Brian. Sean would let me know as right now as we would. He's probably checking his calendar as we're talking to let us know.
Friday the 13th.
Let's see on
Anybody?
let's
Anybody on the executive committee who can do that?
let's see.
Friday the 13th of December, I could do it in the morning.
Okay.
Is anybody else of it? I have
I'm good
between
on the
9
13th.
Nachi.
I'm sorry. What was the date?
13th,
Friday.
December 13th. Do you have time between 9 and 11?
Yeah, I'm just, I'm sorry, I was looking on my phone. I've got,
Do not work. Take your time, Nach.
I'm sorry. I was,
Okay, that's okay. We know you're.
Jeff, what's your
all-
calendar looking like? Because we
Yeah,
really
I'm
zipped
good
through the,
for the
it was
13th.
quick.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wednesday, November 13th, yes.
December
Oh, no,
13th.
no.
December 13th, Nachi. Friday, December 13th.
Uh,
9 through 11. Do you have any availability an hour at
Yes,
least?
yes.
Okay. I know this group likes 9 to 10. Want me to put you in for 9 to 10?
That's good for me.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I'll send that to Jen.
Yep.
You got it.
Julie, what was the date? Sorry, I wasn't listening.
December 13th is when they plan to, is the executive committee will be meeting for an hour to work on to finalize the report, annual report.
Okay, so we'll put the deadline ahead of that meeting, so the recommendations are in by, see, the 6th. So here's basically a draft. Jolie and put our colleagues at CERC here as well. So so if we want the report out in January, we'll need probably 2 weeks in advance to edit, make sure the formatting's correct. So that brings us to December 22, right before the holiday. And then to Sean's point,
That's
I don't know if folks will be working on it over the Christmas holiday.
Yeah. And then the message from the chair, it says Halloween, which is actually my favorite holiday, but if I could have it, I want to do my message after I hear everything from the full SAC on our final 2024 meeting on the 20th. So
Yep.
if you could put that, let's say Thursday, the November 27th, I can have that too, I think. Let me put it on my calendar, message chair due.
Yeah, and the functions of the council activity and the members, so we'll cover those. So I'm gonna unhighlight this one. Maybe.
Okay, so I'm sending Jen a text right now. The date is
CSDE CERC, CSDE CERC. Jeff, what I'm not seeing here, not to cause any work for you, but don't we typically do a legislative summary? Now, for this year, it'll be before the new legislative session. So there is a section for membership update, council activities, executive. Did we have a legislative section last year in our annual report?
I believe we did.
I'm looking to see what I have. I'm looking through documents here, so let me.
We had a few meetings last year, and there was I don't know if there was an update, but there was there is a section in the report for legislative.
Yeah. Maybe we can do like a paragraph or two. I remember Jeff crafting something, drafting something for like what they did the previous legislative session. So it's up to you if you want to do that again or not.
I'm just looking through my documents. I have something from 23.
Yeah.
I found that it was basically it was an outline about what the legislative committee does, and then
yeah.
I can just, I mean, if you want me to do something, I could put something together. So,
okay. I'll put that right around the same time as Susan's, like around November 27, just to keep a time saver on there for now. We could always adjust
you mean a deadline for submission?
Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome.
okay, great. And I'm assuming probably by then, Jeff, we will have had a meeting maybe, or will you put a meeting in December for the legislative committee?
They usually meet after the new year.
They do. It's just that I would love
I don't
to
know
have
if there's a need to meet before, but you definitely could. It's just you would just kind of set up the schedule and overview the process. Any new members that join the committee, for folks that are familiar with it, though, they should be ready to rock and roll after the new year.
Yeah, because I think, I know the report is from the Special Ed Task Force is due January 1st or something. It would be great if we were looking at that as the legislative to kind of say yes, we support this legislation.
Okay.
Yes, we support this legislation.
Yep.
Yes, we support this legislation. 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 Yes, we support this legislation Because I know right?
Well,
Or if we have legislation.
it's not legislate, it's the task force recommendations to the legislation. I think it's
Oh, okay.
important for everyone to review for the council, certainly, but the SAC could choose to respond to it, but it's not really
Okay.
the role of the legislative committee because it's not proposed legislation.
Okay.
You know what I mean? The legislators could, I think it's good for the legislative committee to review it, but not provide formal
Okay.
feedback on it.
All right. So
But let's talk more about that, Susan, because I think that's, because obviously you represent the SAC in the findings report and the recommendations. So we'll figure out the best way to do that.
Yeah, I just want to make sure I have, everybody's toe in the water when it comes to saying what Zach wants.
Yeah.
Not just my toe. Okay. Okay, great, guys. Unfortunately, I have to go to another meeting, and I'm sure other people do. And I think we did a lot, but action items are the call-in number. We gotta get that fixed, right? It's the code, Jolie. The call-in number works. It's the code that doesn't work for public comment. We've got the agenda. You're gonna clarify that, right, and send it out to the group and let them know where we're gonna be.
We don't have the agenda ready. Will we have the agenda ready?
Okay, if you don't have
We have to draft it. We have to
Okay, just then
draft
if
it
you could just
based on
send
today's. Yeah.
if you
I
could just
plan
send
to
a
send a reminder email. Yep.
reminder, and then you're gonna work on getting the data that was requested. And this is like, you've got a few weeks out to the group to look at. Any other thoughts? And then I'm going to reach out to the executive committee with dates for all you guys, basically, with
Right.
possible dates for our meetings.
Okay.
It seems like when we have our our work group, we could always do like our agenda planning, like the first half hour if we had to, and then go into work group, so we don't have to find multiple days. I don't know how you feel about that. And Catherine, you're going to send me your availability, right?
I already did.
Okay. Anyone have anything else?
Thanks, folks.
Okay.
Have a great day. I'm gonna jump
Okay,
off.
great. So someone make a motion to adjourn?
Bye, BK.
I'll make a motion.
Oh, I think Jeff was faster. Jeff? Thank
I'll
you.
second.
Okay.
I'll be
Adjourn.
I'll be a second to Catherine's.
Okay. 10:09 a.m. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.